Independent retail business can mean so many things these days. A brick and mortar store, an e-commerce business, a maker's online shop, a booth at an antique mall, and more. No matter which category you're in, Kathy Cruz, a fellow retail business owner and retail educator, will teach you how to market and manage your business efficiently so you can spend time doing other things you love. Welcome to the Savvy Shopkeeper Podcast.
Welcome to episode 97 of the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. Are you resisting delegation? I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. My intention for this episode is twofold: to show you why delegating is extremely important for your growth, and to empathize with you because I can also resist delegation, and I'll tell you about a recent story where this was the case. Yes, I do it too. Before I get started on this episode, I do have an ask today. If you listen every week to the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast, or you found the podcast and you binged it, and most importantly, if you get value out of this podcast, would you mind leaving me a rating and/or a review? It only takes a couple of minutes. It can be done on the Apple Podcast app, and it's just a few steps, so I'm just going to kind of quickly run through it. So if you go to shows, that's on the menu, shows on the Apple Podcast app, and then you open up the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast, and if you scroll down just a touch more, you'll see a link you can click on to write a review. There's a field for a title and a field for your review, and it can be 1 or 2 sentences, or it can be a whole paragraph. I promise it's easy. It only takes a couple minutes, and it means so much to me. And it helps me put the podcast in front of others, particularly other shopkeepers who I can be helpful to, who this podcast could be helpful to. I would really appreciate it if you take a minute or two to do this. So moving forward in today's episode, I want to talk about delegation. To delegate is to assign responsibility and authority to someone else in order to complete the task at hand. But generally, as business owners, we retain the overall responsibility for its success. Yes, we can delegate it, but it's our business. It's ours to be responsible for, right? So here are 6 reasons why shopkeepers don't delegate. Number 1 is overwhelm. You're so busy doing all the things that you can't even imagine squeezing in the time to either hire and or train someone in order to delegate that task or the many tasks we want or need off our plate. This is the classic, "it's just easier if I do it" kind of statement. Yes, maybe in that immediate moment it is easier, but I promise it's not easier in the long run, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later in the podcast. Number 2 is lack of confidence or insecurity. You don't think you can properly hand it off. You don't think you have the skills to be a manager or to delegate it or the skills to train someone well enough to get it done. Number 3 is lack of systems. This one I know speaks to many of you. Systems are one of the things that people ask me about the most. You don't have a system in place. Everything is stored in your head. Nothing is documented. There isn't an actual system or processes where it would make it easy for someone else to learn all of the things that you do. Now, I want you to note that all 3 above, the overwhelm, the lack of confidence, and the lack of systems, are intertwined a bit, and it can be a vicious circle for shopkeepers. But we're going to move on. Number 4 is the fear of losing control. And I want to say, you know who you are. You people know who you are. You have to hold on to every bit of your business because it's your baby, and no one is going to treat your baby as well as you do. Number 5, I have to laugh because I titled it Superiority Syndrome. This shopkeeper thinks no one can do it better than me, so why bother? But I bet you someone can. But if you don't let it go, you'll never know. On the flip side, this isn't a competition, and maybe no one will do it better than you. But what's a good scenario? Because if you think about it, there's good, better, best. Good is it's off your plate. That person who you delegate the task to, they can graduate to better and best, right? Not everyone's going to start off handling our tasks as well as we do, especially if we've been running our business alone for the past few years. We don't always start at best, so why do we have the expectation that other people will start there too? I think it's the tough love side of me that wants to say, get over yourself and just hand it off. But don't be mad at me for saying that, okay? Number 6 is believing the time myth. It's just faster if I do it. I'm going to say it again because I hear this often. It's just faster if I do it. Again, similar to number 1, which was overwhelm. It's just easier if I do it. But the return on investment doesn't come from that one time the task is done. And yes, in that one instance, you would do it faster. The return on investment comes from the 100 to 200 times that person will handle that particular task for you in the future. And it's not you doing it. So let's squash the toddler brain who wants immediate satisfaction, and instead let's lean into our adult brains who see the big picture and, more importantly, the long-term return on investment, understanding that is all those future times that person will do the task for you, that it's going to be worth it because you're not doing it. Yes, you might have to train, you might have to re-instruct a few times, but keep the long game in mind. One other thing that I want to add, those were the 6 reasons why we often don't delegate, but the one thing that I want to add here is that oftentimes delegating for shopkeepers should also mean asking others in your personal life to do and help with things too. And yes, we really struggle with this one because we think we can do it all. And yes, you probably can, but I think it's really important for you to ask for help or delegate or hire help in our personal lives too, in your personal life. So, do dishes at home have you frustrated? Are you running around like a chicken with your head cut off, shuffling kids to and from functions while trying to rush back to your store so that you can maintain your hours? Is your laundry piling up? Is your house a disaster or dirty? I mean, I can go on and on. There are people that you can ask for help, whether it's family members, whether it's hiring a house cleaner, whether it's hiring a personal assistant to do things for you. Yes, I said it, and that's going to be the topic of an episode in 2022. Not only do we have to delegate within our businesses, but we have to delegate outside of our businesses too. Otherwise, we just wipe ourselves out. This episode is brought to you by my new free resource, 100 plus social media ideas for shopkeepers. You may have signed up for my newsletter in the past to get access to 75 ideas, but listen, this download is new and improved. If you struggle with what to post on social media for your retail business, this is a 21-page resource that will get you unstuck. It's packed with ideas and a printable worksheet in the end, because once you start to read through this lengthy list, you're going to be inspired and you'll want to write out your own list of ideas. Download, print, and share this resource with your team members too. I want to make it easier for you to market your business so you can work less, profit more, and grow. To get the free download, visit savvyshopkeeper.com/100 ideas. That's savvyshopkeeper.com/100 ideas. So listen, delegating isn't always easy for most people. I personally love delegating because I see the value in opening up the space in my brain and in my calendar so that I can work on the things that are my zone of genius. This is how I will get my business to grow. It is how I've gotten both of my businesses to grow. It won't grow if I'm busy wearing 100, 200, 300 hats. And I'm doing the tasks that will not propel my business forward. So what does this mean? This means I have to work through all of the above mindset blocks that I mentioned, all 6 of them, and it means I have to set up the systems. I'm going to link a great article from the Harvard Business Review in the show notes titled, Why You Aren't Delegating. It has some more helpful information if you're listening to this podcast and saying to yourself, yep, this is me. This is me. Maybe 3 out of the 6 apply to you. Maybe all 6 of the things that I mentioned apply to you. But you can visit my show notes at savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 97, where you can click on the link to the article. If you're so stuck in the weeds and you're wondering what I mean by not delegating, here's an example. And it's a personal example because I always want to be real and I want to show you that I'm a human, that I work through these mindset issues as a shopkeeper too, that I'm stubborn just like you. My own retail business, the store I co-own with my sister, is growing. This means way more incoming inventory than ever. In years past, I managed the inventory. I was the one that did all of it. And just like the bookkeeping, I enjoyed it too. But this year, with the growth, the inventory started to pile up towards the end of summer, and I became frustrated. I also became really frustrated with the work, the task of data entry, label printing, tagging. For those of you that do this in your retail business, you know what I'm talking about. Why was I frustrated? Because I'm growing as a shopkeeper too. I'm seeing where my zone of genius is, and it's in marketing and managing. It was time to let the inventory go, but just like many of you, I was resisting it. I think I resisted it for like 3 months. It wasn't so much the mindset piece. I was overwhelmed because I had order after order piling up and I didn't have a system in place. I never created a system to train someone else to do what I was doing. So recently, I just had to push pause. I had to ignore the dozens of orders around me and I had to sit down and do the work and I had to create the system. So in the Shopkeepers Lab, I teach a live lesson every month. These are all saved under guide number 6. In March of 2020, I taught an inventory basics class where I shared a worksheet and I talked through each field of a typical inventory system. Because people always wondered, like, what's a SKU? What's a barcode? What's the difference? What's important about a title? What about a product description? I walked through all of those fields. And I created a worksheet for lab members where they could download it and kind of go through the classes I was teaching it. So you know what I did? I took that worksheet and I tweaked it a little bit. For each field, I added some information so my nephew, who is our part-time assistant at the store, could actually log into our inventory system and start entering inventory. He understood what every field meant, what was important about each field, and I left the worksheets on the table with some additional instructions. This took I would say it took me about 2 hours to set up the worksheets and to leave him the additional instructions and login information. And you know what? The next day he came in and he started hammering out inventory. It was so good. I wasn't there. I didn't train him in person. I simply created the system to train him. It walked him through how to enter one item at a time, and this is exactly what he did. Yeah, I think he sent me a few texts that day, maybe called once, but overall it was pretty easy once I actually sat down and created the training. I set up his training so the listings would be inactive until I reviewed them, so I would make sure that they weren't pushed to our website just in case there were any issues. Will I ask him to do that in the future? No, because once he gets the hang of it, I will feel confident that the listings are good and they can go to our Shopify website and I don't have to worry about it. Were there some errors? Yeah, I think there were a few, but I had a system on coming in and reviewing everything that he didn't have as active. And I fixed them and it was really easy to do. And then I left him some additional notes about things that I caught that he would learn from. And the other thing too is I realized that inventory for me is 3 phases, actually 4 phases. It's the intake process, it's the entry process, it's the labeling process, and then it's pushing it online to the website and making sure that that's done properly. So it's 4 steps in that system. We had trained him on intake. My sister trained him on that. I now trained him on entry. I'll train him on label printing. And then I'll train him on pushing it online. So I have to tackle it one piece at a time. Otherwise, it would overwhelm me too. So that's the big key with systems, is breaking it down rather than looking at the whole picture, because oftentimes that whole picture will overwhelm us and we're like, nope, never mind, can't do it. Of course, now I wish I would have done this sooner, but that's the life of a shopkeeper, right? Whether it's mindset, systems, or something else, if I want to continue to grow my own retail business, I have to push through the discomfort and I have to delegate. And so do you. My goal is to grow again in 2022, and I now know that this can happen because inventory will be completely off of my plate next year. And I have big plans with the open space in my brain. And with the time that this will open up while I'm at my store, I will be able to market the business more. I will be able to manage it more. I will be able to create more systems and processes. And then I even wrote a note in my outline here, like, watch out 2022. Trust me when I say I feel like I can do it all. I am super independent. I am stubborn. But again, if we want to grow, delegating is a must. If you want to see the show notes to this episode, visit my blog at savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 97. Again, that's savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 97. Until the next episode, be savvy and boss up.